Nothing wrong with starting a few seconds early.
Exactly. Welcome aboard, everyone, to Virtual Collage Jam. I'm not hearing it on your computer, Kim.
There's a lag.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, that's good. We've got Kim's laptop open as well to
There,
double check.
I hear you.
Okay, good. We have sound. Always good. Yay. Okay, so now I can relax a little bit and say welcome aboard for Virtual Collage Jam on Monday, May 8th, with the topic of Re-collage.
Re-collage?
Re-collage.
What's re-collage, Cal? You're going to talk about that a little later, right? When more people are with us?
That's a good idea. I will talk about that a little later.
Excellent.
Which leaves a little gap in what I was about to say because
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I didn't
You're
mean to do
probably
that.
right. Yeah.
How are you today, Cal?
I'm a little subdued, but I think I'm good. Yeah.
Are you tired out from yesterday's workshop?
I might be tired out from yesterday's workshop, and I should introduce the voice off camera, which is
Kim Lee Ko,
my partner in crime in life and art and every other endeavor, pretty much. And she taught her first in-person workshop since
March of 2020.
March 2020, since our very first lockdown. So she's a little bit tired, which is a big understatement, but she's really happy too because it went really well. And I went along to help her get set up at Nielsen Park Creative Center. It was on what was the topic?
Exploring the 5 elements in mixed media.
Exactly. So. And the 5 elements being Chinese elements.
A Chinese fundamental cultural idea.
Right. And principle. This was the first year that I learned that you have the year of the dragon or rabbit or horse, but there's also an element layered on. So it will be like the water rabbit or the golden dragon or metal dragon, but metal and gold are interchangeable in that respect, right? Or
no, the related? Golden dragon was the millennium.
Oh, okay, right.
But
so yeah, so Kim did a workshop using those 5 elements, which are water, earth, wood, fire, and metal, I think. So
that's right.
Yeah,
don't forget that.
We had papers from the Japanese paper place, and a lot of fun was had by all. So
yeah,
I think Kim is maybe just a few nanometers backed off of a basket case, and I'm a little tired. But we're doing well and ready to collage or recollage, as the case may be. So. Re-collage. What do I mean by that? I just thought it might be a catch-all term for reworking a collage because we all have work that doesn't work, right? I have a big stack of it here, which it was easy to find in my studio. There's a lot more as well back there, but I just thought I would take a bunch of things that had got stalled or false starts, or I thought they were done and I looked again at them and thought they were icky or just didn't get to where I wanted them to be. And I thought I'll just go through them and see if I can move them along in some interesting new way. I often find it's beneficial to do that with a piece that I've had around for a while. And I don't really think of it as a good time to rework like the next day. I mean, occasionally that's the case, but usually it's like, you know what, I'm stalled with this. I don't know what to do. I'm going to put it aside. And then sometimes I come back. Sometimes I never get back to it. Let's be honest. But oftentimes I come back later and I don't have the same emotional investment in what's working or not working. So I can look at it and just think, okay, well, nothing to lose on this. I'll just look at it with fresh eyes and see what maybe is beneficial, what I could change. And sometimes I'll just try something very arbitrary just to stir the pot and to get something happening. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So,
because if you've been fiddling with it along a certain line and that's not working, then what you need to do is something different.
Exactly. So what you will see, I'm going to shift to the overhead camera shortly. I'm just going to, I have a big stack. I probably won't do stuff on all of them because there are like 15 pieces there. But what I'm going to do is just like grab one, look at it, do something, and then move on to the next one. Grab something, look at it a bit, think about it, do something. And then I'm going to do that for several. And then maybe something will catch fire where I see something happening, where I might want to stick with it a little longer, or I may just like do a whole round on like 10 of the next step on 10 of them. I don't know. We'll see. So let us know in the chat what your interpretation of, first of all, if you're working with the prompt, or if not, that's also cool. Prompts here are always optional because sometimes a prompt is great and it hits you at the right time and it's like, yeah, I want to work with that. And sometimes not so much, right? So if it's not so much, feel free to do what you want to do, right? This is a fun online way to collage together. But if you are working with Re-collage, how are you going about it? Do you have any ideas? Let us know in the chat. And I will let Kim get us caught up on the chat while I switch to the overhead camera and we get this party started. So going dark for a second, but we'll be back in a sec. Don't worry.
Yeah, so Jane said, yes, a lot of fun it was yesterday. Thanks.
It was a lot of fun.
Jane. And you did a dandy little collage. I've been thinking about it since, actually. And I was going to email you to ask you if you could send me a photograph of it. I think it's a lovely example.
So I'm just going to, some of these are from classwork or from just playing around.
That has some fun elements.
Yeah, it does have some fun elements. And so I'm going to look at it and think about it. And while you get us caught up, Kim.
Okay. Judy's here. Hi, Judy.
Hey, Judy.
And she said yesterday was great.
That was a lot of fun.
And it was lovely to meet you in person, Judy. So glad you enjoyed it. Ricky is here.
Hey, Ricky. Yay. Welcome.
Hi, Ricky.
Yeah, awesome.
She says, hi, Kal and Kim. I did World Collage Day with the Philadelphia group yesterday.
Oh, cool.
It was good. I'm glad yours was good also. So we're having World Collage Day on Saturday, right? This coming Saturday.
It's the 13th. So maybe the Philadelphia group that you had to do it a week ahead of time.
They had some reason, yeah.
Because our workshop was not for that purpose.
It was very collage based, but it was
that's true.
It was for Asian Heritage Month in Canada, and it was called Exploring the 5 Elements in Mixed Media. So there was the possibility to layer on some drawing too, with various kinds of paint pens and other things. Anyway, I'm glad you had a good time at the Philadelphia group.
Was there a particular theme, Ricky, or?
Cherie is here.
Hey, Cherie. Yay.
She says, hi, guys. Ready to re-collage. I bet you are. I can imagine how ready you are.
I don't know whether it counts if it was never glued down in the first place.
Oh, that's so funny.
And you know I love you, Cherie. You know I'm just taking the Mickey.
She knows you're just teasing. Ricky adds, I wish I lived in Canada. And then adds, in Toronto, I should say.
Yeah, there. We wish you did too, Ricky.
Yeah. It's awfully nice that we can meet up in this way, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it was there was a ton of interest in that workshop. So there was actually a waiting list that was twice the size of the maximum number of students.
Class, yeah.
So
how you've got some
pent up demand or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I've hardly spoken a word today until starting now.
Yeah.
So I may fall silent.
That's quite all right. You're allowed to take it quietly today.
Yeah. By the end of the class, all I could do was sit in my chair. People came to me. Oh. Oh, it was so much fun seeing all the different things people did, though. Later on, I'm going to ask Kal to share with you the samples he made actually before the workshop. Bless him, because I had so much prep to do. I didn't manage to complete samples. I started, but I didn't. I ran out of time and energy.
It happens.
Yeah. Well, because I have to pace myself.
Yes, you do.
A lot more. I always should have paced myself a lot better, but now I have no option.
Lessons of later in life, right?
Exactly. That hard-won wisdom, is that what they call it?
It's certainly what it is, right?
Yeah. So this is pretty hilarious. Cherie writes, "Oh my God, I just used an unglued image in a new collage. I like it so much I glued it.
Wow.
Switched to using matte gel medium."
That's
commitment when you're using the medium.
It's serious. When?
Yeah, that's right.
What if you want to move it?
And just in case anyone watching this now or in future doesn't know, that's acrylic gel medium, which comes in different finishes, and she's using the matte.
And Kim has taught quite a few.
Yes, I've retired my course, Acrylics Explore, Express, and Experiment, which was all about mediums and experimental process. It was a really good course in the sense that it was like a crash course in the fundamental different mediums and their behaviors, from which you could extrapolate some of the other newer or fancier mediums. But it was
a lot of work to
I would teach for a week and I would prep for 3 weeks with help,
Yeah, Kim would take...
And the rate of pay was not supporting that. Neither was my body's energy. Yeah, we used to have a camper van, and we would fill up the camper van with boxes of product for students' kits that were decanted and custom labeled. It was insane.
And you would take when our camper van died, we had to take 2 trips with all
to Halliburton and back, and then to Halliburton again. Yeah, insanity. It had to be retired. If I could teach it out of my own studio, that would be the dream, right? Teaching anything out of my own studio, but
that's
not at present.
Sort of what we do on Zoom.
Yes,
extent, right?
Zoom is the closest we get to that. So actually, that's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is anyone here coming to the in-person World Collage Day?
I know Cherie and Carol, I think, is her friend.
Carol, right? Yeah. Yes.
And Lisa.
Yeah.
So
Lisa as well? Oh, yeah. Good.
But who else is coming?
Yes, if anyone else here is coming.
Yeah, there are still a few places. So if you're interested and available this Saturday, we'll be at Gladstone Hotel.
Yeah.
And to sign up, there, just go to calhoney.ca and look under the teaching tab for in-person offerings, or under the events. It's also there. And you can sign up. It's $30 this time, just to cover some materials I'll be bringing, and promotion and all that stuff.
Yep.
A hopefully nominal fee.
For a premium experience.
Exactly.
Oh.
And Gladstone is such a great place to be. I suggest arriving early to take a look around at the hotel, because it's got tons of great art in and around it everywhere.
Well, and are we suggesting lunch?
We should.
Yes. Yeah. Remember, we did that last time. So
the bistro, which has some very nice food, will be available for lunch, but not after the workshop, because after the workshop
there's a wedding
going on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
lunch is the only option.
Yeah. So if you're thinking you might like dinner afterwards, switch it to lunch if you can.
Yeah, that's right. Last time the Gladstone very generously extended a discount.
Yes.
For lunch. Have we confirmed that with Lee, or or do we need to ask her?
I'd have to ask. Okay. Yes, I haven't.
Okay.
Because of some other commitments, such as
one or two. Yeah.
Yeah. I have not been on that front.
Philippa says she would love to join us, but she's not able to. Sad face. Right. Well, we're sad that you're not able to, because it would be so delightful to have you there,
but
Philippa.
It is a long way down and into the city and back, so we totally understand that.
Yeah.
It's a slog to get in and out sometimes. Hopefully less so on Saturday, but
she shares that she's been cutting out around some drawings she did a long time ago in preparation for a collage rather than a re-collage.
Right. Yeah, great.
Well, and you were very curious about collage. Am I remembering that correctly? So you wanted to to work that way. So that sounds exciting. It is a long drive from there, Philippa. We totally understand, because we know what it's like when we have to drive.
Our house is a disaster in many respects, but it's on a nice little suburban cul-de-sac. We have a lot of mature trees, so we have this nice little place to live. But pretty much all of our culture is downtown.
Yeah, or at least Port Credit, which is by the lake. You know?
So we're always like getting in the car and driving away.
Yeah. Well, Kal is, because since my car accident, I hardly ever drive. So that hopefully will gradually change, but
for the time being.
Yeah. There've been a few other things to deal with.
There have.
Cherie says, I'm coming to the live event.
Yay.
Unfortunately, having a tooth extracted on Friday.
Oh, no.
Counting on painkillers and anti-inflammatories. Yikes. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to miss it, and Lisa is driving. Well, that's good.
Well, that is good.
Because you don't want to, you just need to chill and enjoy it as best you can with all the support, all the pharmaceutical support
that you can muster.
That you can do, yeah. Yeah. I'm glad I remembered that correctly, Philippa. It's quite interesting when you laid that face with all the cutouts in it over top of the ground.
Yeah, I think
the effect that has is quite...
It's interesting, and that's what I was thinking would be.
Just thinking about, you were mentioning about the Chinese astrology signs having elements associated with them in a 5-year cycle. And I just noticed that the rabbits on our mantle that I've set out there in honor of the year of the rabbit are both metal. And this is the year of the metal rabbit.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome. That works out well.
Isn't it? Oh, is it the water rabbit?
Yeah, I thought it was a water
God.
rabbit. You better look it up.
Yeah. It's hard to come up with a water rabbit, though.
Yeah. It'd have
If
to
I
be,
had a glass rabbit filled with water, that's how I could do it, I guess.
or ice sculpture.
Yes. Frozen
I
water.
don't know whether that would count or not, but
It is the water rabbit. So I can't rely on my brain today at all. And not just because of that one misremembering. It's completely worn out from yesterday's teaching. It's so extra demanding teaching in person when you haven't done it for literally years. So I used to do a lot of it and I loved it. Jane says, sure, I'll send a photo. Thanks, Kim.
Awesome.
I'm having
Thank you.
trouble with internet. Goes in and out, not strong.
Oh,
Oh,
dear.
that's sad to hear. You might need a repeater or something in your
yeah,
in your
if
new place,
it's sort
Jane.
of far away from your router, a repeater can be a useful thing just to sort of boost the signal to the
We did
further-
that for my mother, and it helped her a lot.
to the further reaches of the.
I should say more correctly, we installed one of those for my mother. We didn't actually do the repeating. Philippa says, my understanding is that rabbits hate water. Right. Yeah. They probably don't like metal much either.
Yeah.
Or fire. Yeah. One of the things about the 5 elements in Chinese culture is that it's not like the Greek elements. It's not really about the physical things. It's representations of fundamental forces at work in the world. A world that's in a constant state of change. And so there are forces that affect that. Whereas the Greek elements are actually about physical, natural things and their attributes. Cats rarely like water, and I remember I had a cat in my young adult years who I was very close with, and she used to, one apartment I lived in had an old-fashioned Victorian bathtub, which are wonderful tubs to soak in. They're just, the back is slanted comfortably. They have tall walls so you can really soak in them properly. Not like our 1950s bathroom right now. And but she didn't want to get in the water, but she jumped up onto the ledge of the tub and used to walk around and then come and settle on the part of my neck and shoulder that was sticking out. It's a very funny cat.
She also batted the water as it poured, or is that? Am I misremembering that?
Well, when I would pour the water to fill the tub, it wasn't fun batting at water.
Right.
They like trickles usually.
Right. Not torrents.
Yeah, exactly. Not Niagara Falls. No. Yeah, I think it was in a house. The apartment was a flat in an old Victorian house in the annex. One of the beautiful Victorian houses there. So there were people living on each floor, and it was a big apartment. Beautiful. And it was the only apartment I lived in that A, didn't have a shower, and B, had a separate water closet.
Wow. Yeah, that's going back a ways.
Yeah.
In terms of its setup.
Mm-hmm. Made it handy for sharing, though. Like, my boyfriend had been living in it with a roommate before I moved in. And, you know, if someone was having a bath, someone could use the water closet.
That is helpful.
It is. Jane says she's still working on seeing if she can get there on Saturday. A big plus would be if anyone's going from the West End, she could use a ride. She's at Bloor and High Park, Quebec Avenue. Quebec Avenue, I lived on. Did I live on Quebec Avenue? I think I lived on Quebec Avenue when I first moved to Toronto. I was very young at the time, so, but yeah, I think it was Quebec Avenue. Isn't that funny? Philippa says, yes, I know my acupuncturist talks a little about this. Yes. Acupuncture is one of many, many areas that these principles are embedded in. Traditional Chinese medicine in general. Philippa says, I find that when I do a lot of cutting with a knife, I get a sore neck and shoulder. Does anyone else experience this? That sounds like you're tensing your muscles up as you're doing it. And so you might want to work on intentionally relaxing and adjusting your position. And then secondly, do frequent little sitting up straight and stretching your shoulders, rolling them back, stretching your neck in different directions just to reset. Because usually that comes from, bad ergonomics, sitting in a funny position, but you may need to take a funny position temporarily when you're doing the cutting. But it's the contraction of the muscles that tensing your muscles in funny ways. Jane says she tried an internet extender, but that didn't work. Have got internet, just weak in that room. Is there a difference between an extender and a repeater? Yeah, one of them doesn't re-strengthen the signal at the same time as it distributes it. So my brain's not working wonderfully right now, but I know that there is that difference. So if you can have someone help you find the kind that re-strengthens the signal at the same time, that would be really good. Philippa says, a good reminder, smile. I get pretty intense. Yeah, I can imagine that. And, it's, of course, you're immersed in the process and whatever. So you just do your best to remind yourself, oh, right, okay, I've got to stretch. I've got to sit up straight. I've got to, take little breaks, micro breaks even. Your body will thank you. I say this from hard won. I've got, all kinds of repetitive strain injuries, and yeah, position and muscle tension is key. So I stretch my hands a lot more than I ever used to. I mean, no one taught me to stretch my hands when I was younger. And that's when I first got my RSIs in, which is short for repetitive strain injury, in my 20s, working really long hours at the computer. Well, and before that, working really long hours at my desk and drafting table. I had just had different injuries from that. Some nice photography in that, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a gel plate print that you've laid the? Looks like it.
Yes. It's well, I guess it's more. No, it's a stencil.
Oh, okay.
Stencil, and yeah. Sorry, it took me a while to figure out what I had here. C note about being tired.
But we're committed, so that's why we're here.
Or at least we should be.
Don't tell anybody.
And so, how are you guys going about Re-collage? I think I already asked that.
You did.
C note about being tired. And if you're not, what else are you playing with?
Well, Philippa's doing decollage.
Right. Yes.
So she's building up a sandwich of those old drawings. I'm not sure what Jane is doing though. I don't think she said. But she might not even have heard you ask if her internet's going in and out.
That's true.
So frustrating when that happens. Ah, lovely. Thank you, Ricky. She writes, I can imagine how sometimes you are tired, but I really appreciate your commitment. This is my special time devoted only to collage. I allow myself no distractions.
That's
a beautiful thing,
that is
isn't
beautiful and awesome. And
see that's why we do it.
I think the idea of having, I think you've touched on something really important, Ricky, and that is the importance of setting aside time, uninterrupted time.
Giving that to yourself, allowing yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
And giving it to ourselves is really important.
I'll be back in a moment.
And I kind of think of it as making an appointment with my artist. And I mean, most of us struggle with getting it done as often as we would like. And, but when you have a time and a place where you sort of need to be, and of course you can watch the replays of Virtual Collage Jam, but if you do it live, it's like, okay, it's this hour and a half and I'm going to come there and I'm going to turn everything else off for the time being and just have that short amount of time to myself for my art. And that's huge.
Yeah.
And I think it's really how we get things done. When unfortunately we often couch art making as a luxury or an elective rather than a necessity. And I think if you can couch it as a necessity, you'll be doing a lot better, just because it is for our spirit,
like working
right?
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like getting exercise.
Part of keeping our balance, right? So
yeah, staying healthy.
Yeah, staying healthy. That's really it, right?
Cherie writes, I prepped for a recollage but got distracted. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh so loudly there.
But it's out of recognition. We're not loud because
right.
That happens to us.
I feel confident Cherie understands.
Yes.
But got distracted with a new to me frame from Value Village. Currently framing a piece I like for my studio. Nice. Well, that sounds great.
Yeah, that is. So recontextualizing a collage.
She assures me that she does. Thank you, Cherie. I really appreciate that about you. Where would we be without a few laughs, eh? It's reminding me that I used to use humor a lot in my classroom in the teaching in person days. Sometimes physical humor. Discovered my inner slapstick as a teacher. That's not something I expected. He certainly is, Jane. Jane writes, Kal, you are such a master with the blade. I'm basically just watching today and seeing how gracefully and smoothly you twist and turn.
Well, that's nice of you to say, Jane.
If we had a microphone situated right next to his blade, we could tag this as an ASMR video, you know.
And you're going to have to explain what that is.
I forget what it stands for because my brain isn't working, but if you search for it on YouTube, you'll find videos of people crinkling paper or whispering into the microphone really close up. And there's a percentage of the population that has a part of the brain that fires in a special way in response to sounds like that. They're sort of gentle sounds, right? But they're vivid. They're vivid but gentle, and it's a big deal. There are a lot of channels that do ASMR recordings because it makes people feel good. The people who have that kind of brain.
Is that where the mixing paint too is, or is that separate?
Well, it depends. You can do mixing paint in an ASMR way. It's an audio thing, right? So, or you can do it as just a visual thing that happens to have a bit of sound. Judy writes that she's working on adding to yesterday's piece from Kim's workshop. Awesome.
Cool.
It was headed in a great direction yesterday. Cherie said, when I was working, I had to do a lot of public speaking. When I'm nervous, I'm apparently very funny. That's a great gift, Cherie.
And that is because that immediately puts other people at ease.
And then that helps you.
And that helps you get, so maybe you've got a second career or third career as a stand-up. Yeah.
She said, when it was a large crowd, I went positively stand-up. I would dearly love to have seen that. That would have been great. I may have mentioned this before, but one of the things I did when my family went into massive crises, I took singing lessons, but I also joined a comedy improv group that accepted beginners, and over Zoom, of course. And no, I have no acting experience and no comedy experience. And most people consider doing comedy improv highly stressful. So I don't know what I was thinking, but it was an awesome thing to do. And I was just thinking, maybe you should try that. It's really
fun.
Well, it is because you don't just stand up and it's not blank canvas, right? It's they have all kinds of
prompts and
puzzles and games,
constructs.
Games that are constructs for it, and it's fascinating. And you're right now, my brain feels completely incapable of doing that because I couldn't today. But you're very quick-witted, so I think you would take to it quite well. Yeah. Someday I'd like to do the second. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I would hear you on those Zooms and think, oh my God, what is she gonna come up with? And of course, you came up with stuff, which was amazing. But yeah, definitely in my stressful.
Well, when I felt really stressed, so there were some real actors who were part of this troupe, and plenty of people who also weren't, but the two founders of it were actors, and so there were some other actors who would join us regularly. So they had skills, right? And they also mentally they could juggle a lot of things because they had skills. So I remember one of them being disappointed because you're often working in partners, teams of two, and because we didn't use proper accents, whatever kind of accent I was supposed to be speaking. And it's like, cognitively, I literally cannot add that on to me trying to come up with something because it's improv. Make sense, listen carefully to my partner, do physical gestures that fit the invisible props that we are handling, express moods.
And do that.
And do an accent like as if I can even, there may be a couple of accents I can butcher, but maybe recognizably butcher. You know what I mean? It was nutty. It's like, how can you even expect me to do that? Yeah. And I remember getting training on like how to properly mime holding a book, as opposed to my very rough approximation.
I'm sure yours.
Everything has skills, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. At a certain point, I realized I needed to just do the singing. It was less stressful, and I couldn't handle both anyway in the circumstances.
Funny enough.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what to sing for my 4th open mic later this month. Well, this is changing quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting, that piece with the two people walking.
Yeah, well, it was a painting, and it caught my eye, and the scale of them sort of walking away from the standing figure was
much larger.
So I thought it'd be nice if it was some of what I had showed through. Just trying to see whether I might take even more out or not. But what I might do is just glue that down and then move on to the next thing.
Right.
Just have to decide on where that position was going to be. I think just a little above the bottom there. Good.
Jane writes, I'm still organizing my new art room while watching. It is so newly completed, thus trying to figure out what works best.
Yeah.
That's kind of an exciting adventure, though. In my books, anyway. I hope you're finding some of that in your experience.
It's exciting and sometimes a little crazy making, but also there's all this potential, right?
Yeah.
Because you have
not like what we've got right now.
In your last place, you had it set up in a certain way, and this place requires new.
Yeah.
And
it's good for your creativity, actually.
Yeah, and it's also like, when you set up your last place, presumably you were a different artist than you are now, right? So it gives you a chance to make your space work for you as where you are now as an artist, rather than where you were when you started to set up
Presumably the old space evolved, though, as she evolved.
Yeah. I mean,
in terms of setup and so on.
I guess I'm feeling the need to do that with my studio, so I've been thinking about that. So maybe that's where that's sneaking in.
Yes. I.e., almost all of the house in our case. Ricky suggests that I should sing God Save the King. Oh, only in a purely satirical sense, Ricky.
I don't think there's any saving them.
Yeah. Oh. I imagine my head flopping forward onto the table.
You were doing a pretty good impression of it. That was just an imagining.
Yeah.
You were just imagining that.
That's true. That's true. Well, while Kal glues things up and you can enjoy watching him, I'll just mention that I was assigned, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow by my singing teacher, which has been really incredibly good for training my voice. It's quite a difficult song to sing. Well, and but that makes me think one possibility is I might want to sing a couple of old standards like Cry Me a River.
Which you've been doing for a while now, right? Practicing.
Yeah, but I haven't performed it.
Right.
And I love singing it. And I want to learn Fly Me to the Moon. Because I think I'll enjoy that.
Another super fun piece.
Well, yeah.
Well,
so
the other
Cry
one
Me a River is a different
yeah.
mood.
No,
But I think it'd be nice to have an upbeat song like that.
Not to say Cry Me a River is, yes, but
it's all in the title. That upbeat song, Cry Me a River. Oh, dear. It's fun having something that I'm learning. I mean, I'm always learning, but something that's in a totally different area.
Different vein, yeah.
I have lots to learn for getting ready for my fall show, so it's good to have a break from those things to... Oh, your camera is completely out of focus.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for noticing.
Sorry, I only noticed that now, everybody.
Let's see if I can bring it. There we go. You can see my nice...
Focusing on that nice nail polish job there. You need to occupy more of the...
You're right.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the autofocus works a treat, and sometimes the autofocus just does something very odd.
It just has a moment. Yeah. I can relate. That certainly was one of them.
Yes. It wasn't going to be much use to anybody seeing it in massive blur mode.
No. Sorry about that, folks. I had my head down and...
Yeah, and I was talking and not looking at the screen for a couple of minutes, so hopefully it didn't last too long.
All right. That is... Where's my... There it is. My pile of things I've added stuff to or changed things on.
You're moving on to a different collage?
I'm moving on to another collage as soon as I find one to move on to. All right, this was a class effort, in-class effort, to try and make a Rothko.
I thought of Rothko when I
Yeah,
saw it.
Yeah. But a more active one, obviously.
Yes. Rothko going through some stuff.
Yeah. I forget what the brief was. If anyone was in that class and can remember, let me know. Otherwise, it's going to change. So be moving on to something else anyway. So. I was thinking this would look very fun on that, but it might be too expected, but we'll see. Always start there and then
you can
exactly
change as necessary, right?
That's right.
I really need to photograph your veins. They're fascinating. And so potentially useful for my vein-related art.
That's funny, but yes, that's true. You
Yeah.
A lot of Kim's work has to do with branching systems like watersheds and veins themselves and
Tree branches
and
yeah,
stuff like that. And yes, my forearms tend to be quite noticeable.
Yeah.
In that respect.
Jane says, "You're right, guys. Yes, finally realizing there could be some benefits to downsizing and reorganizing. Talk about creative."
Awesome.
Yeah. That breaking out of routine and novelty is directly stimulates the creative function in the brain. So it opens you up to new possibilities and new ideas will come to you as a result. So, what better thing than in your studio to have that? Yeah, we should do that. What's that blue thing?
I have no idea. It's some other little
Maybe a controller.
Device. No, it's a
it's a
separate
different thing.
product,
Okay.
But I just thought it was interesting. A little
Sure.
So I thought I can always remove it afterwards, but I'll just bring it in to see whether it makes any degree of sense or not.
Just out of curiosity, if you were to orient that horizontally and place the figure on the red, or partially into the red, partially into the... Yeah. I like that better than the vertical.
Yeah, no,
personally.
I think I concur. So something I'm wondering about is taking the features out and maybe putting other features in, but I'm not sure whether that's a good idea or not. So but I want to mess with this.
Why don't you cut the shadow out?
Well, that was another thought, and
I think that'd be good. Replace it with something else.
Yeah.
Jane says, oh, it's so interesting to hear about this. Jane says she took 2 sets of cubbies she had for years and stacked them on their side to get more floor space. She took a small roly-poly, I assume that means a rolling
Like
unit, that used to be in the kitchen, mounted a bigger top on it so I can move about and work standing up.
Ooh.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I like that. Giving me ideas, Jane.
Kim's a big fan of furniture on wheels.
Oh, if I could, everything would be on wheels. It's funny, you know, because I always want to reconfigure the space for different functions. But it reminds me that my grandmother was famous for rearranging the furniture in her houses on a regular basis so that my grandfather would come home from work and be hopelessly confused about where his chair was. He'd bump into things because they had moved again. Yeah. So maybe she would have liked furniture on wheels too. Although she liked the look of more traditional furniture, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Jane says, Kal, you've also got so many built-in stencils with all your inside cutting. Yeah.
It's true.
I should be on this side with my gel plate.
using some
your
of my
offcuts.
shapes. Yeah.
I have a talk to get ready for. I don't know if anyone here is part of the Burlington Fine Arts Association, but or anyone watching later, but I'll be giving a talk presentation to them. Geez, I don't know. It's the 8th today, so maybe 10 days from now, something like that.
Yeah.
And after that, I have to get ready start preparing for the summer course. What made me think of that was the gel plate idea, because I have the course in Haliburton to prepare for. My first time back to Haliburton since the pandemic. So I'm glad I had that workshop before I wouldn't like to land in Haliburton cold, not having taught anything in person. Look who's here with us. It's Nellie.
Hey, Nellie.
Hi, Nellie.
Sorry, my waving is kind of sorry there, but yeah, welcome. Yeah, nice to have you along. Yay.
Where are you joining us from now? It's always fun to ask you that. Are you back here or having wandered far and wide? That's lovely for the shadows.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing right there, more or less.
Still in the same place. Okay. Well, I hope you're having a good time there, a good visit. Oh, that looks so much more interesting now. Late on that.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the activity in your base that you're working with.
Yeah, so do I. So I'm going to see how much of it. Once I've got this sort of sub-assembly of this masked head figured out, I will lay it on that and decide whether it is the right place for it or not. that's sort of where it started, but it doesn't have to be where it stays. It might be better off somewhere else, in
Right.
which case I can just, if I decide that the original, that piece is better off having something less large over top of it,
Right.
then I can choose to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the key benefits, as anyone who's taken my collage courses knows, is that ability to try it and see before you glue
Yes,
it down, which is so great.
it is. It is great. Oh, the chat is lively.
Awesome.
Ricky asks, will your gel plate course be online? I took gel plate with Cal, but didn't have the right gel plate, and I couldn't get the most out of the course. I'd like to learn. Well, this one won't be, Ricky. It's an in-person course. It's a week-long intensive, but I have, and this is kind of far in the future, but it's the only one that I know about that's actually booked. In January, I will be teaching a 2-part online gel plate workshop. I forget. I haven't nailed down exactly what the focus will be, but yeah, it's it's for a group called Quest Art in Midland, Ontario, and I've been doing gel plate workshops for them on Zoom for
a while now.
At least a couple of years now. So and they're always well subscribed. So if you're on my email list, Ricky, just like with this workshop that was on Sunday, I will endeavor to let everyone on the email list know as soon as possible when I've got things nailed down, allowing you to register before people who only find out on social media, for example. That's not to say that there isn't a possibility of something earlier, but
that's what you know.
But I know of that right now, and I do have the constraint that I have this big solo show to prepare for, so
You won't be.
I'll be doing less teaching
in the fall
than I'm in the fall than I would have. Yeah. It's a medium I love because it's so responsive and iterative. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into it as I prepare for the course.
I want to do more.
Yeah, we had some great playtime at that that cabin near Huntsville. You and I doing gel plate printing and using natural materials for it. That was quite a treat. Nellie says, thanks. Still waiting for warm weather. Oh dear. It seems to me you're always either someplace where it's intolerably hot,
yeah,
or someplace that's not warm enough. You need a nice Goldilocks middle ground, just right place, don't you? Oh dear. Well, I hope the warm weather comes soon. Jane says, me too, Kim. I find stuff in the street and add wheels. Yeah. If we had room, I would do that too.
Yeah. Jane's done a lot of repurposing or revitalizing the furniture. Yeah,
exactly. making
it brand new,
amazing,
in interesting, creative ways.
Yeah, she has 4 wheelies in her art room already. That's great. Yeah, I have some bunch of drawer things and a couple of carts that have wheels on them. I kind of wish the tables had wheels too, though, with brakes so that you can have them be solid. But
right, so you can lock them in place.
Yeah,
so they don't move around.
Exactly. I remember years ago, someone telling me that there were these cool beds that had wheels instead of legs, and I thought, oh, I'd love to get one of those. And then someone told me that it was actually a bit problematic because the bed kept moving.
That you really
You
want
really need good brakes
a
for a
good
bed.
lockable caster on
Yeah.
it if you're going to put a bed
Yeah.
on wheels. So yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes you get some cool things. I just looked over there and saw,
Yeah, just
and this-
the randomly
and this thing,
placed.
that's fun.
Exactly. That is very cool. I like the small face
Yeah.
peeking out. Hmm. Hmm. That's dandy.
Isn't that great?
Holy moly.
So this is
Minimalist.
nothing. Like I wasn't even sure whether I should even bring this to the table.
Oh
but
my god.
already this is looking pretty kind of cool. So
Yeah.
I think we're going. This is the next step for this one, and then we'll see about whatever else. But yeah. Well,
there's the what and there's the if.
Yeah. Well, there's our, as you would rightly caution me, don't ride so heavily on her face and so on. But
yeah, but you just want to consider carefully
what the next step will be, and maybe playing it less strongly than I might, or less might be more. It already is in this piece that we're getting ready to glue down.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just going to get another dose of caffeine.
Never a bad idea.
Oh boy. Very necessary.
But particularly so for Kim for today. Fortunately, this particular piece I'm gluing down is from one of those sort of fold out cover advertisements. So it's sturdier paper, because sometimes these large, now I'm still getting a bit of the buckling and I didn't get my glue as even as I would have liked. But if I were using just an interior page, it would be much more challenging to have done that. But still have a few places where the glue, as you can see, I didn't get enough glue under it. So let's do a little retrofit there. One good thing about this cover stock is that I can actually
burnish it a bit.
Rub off some of the a glue gob or two.
Yeah. Such beautiful shapes. Oh. As soon as you put that down, it was magic.
No, that's the shapes were what we're making it, right? So that's when I'm going to put under an art book for a few minutes to get it flattening out. Kind of fun not starting from scratch, starting in response to something.
Well, it's generally a good way to start. Sometimes that just means it's a, painted paper or a color or something. Like when I was painting regularly, I always painted something onto the panel or canvas. to start with, to layer onto. Cherie has a question.
Fire away.
I'm not sure I'm up to answering it right now. My brain is most of my brain is not accessible
or
to
is
me.
it something
No,
I
it's just to us.
Okay, well maybe I can manage it then.
She says, "Hey guys, what adhesive would you use to adhere vellum?" She tried acrylic gel medium and it was an epic fail. Yes, so vellum crinkles very readily.
Right.
I think that's the problem, isn't it,
Right.
Cherie? Just let me know if crinkling was buckling was the problem. And that's a response to the water.
I was thinking that
So a drier adhesive would be better.
Yeah, I don't have any. I mean,
I'd use glue stick. I'd try glue stick anyway.
Yeah, and do a test.
Yeah.
Like always, like when you're not sure, do tests because.
Yeah, it rolled up on itself and wrinkled. Yeah, that's because of the water. So acrylic gel medium has a lot of water in it, and vellum. I have some recollection of this. It really soaks it in. Textile glue. I don't know, Nellie. One of the things about textiles is that unlike paper, they don't buckle the way paper fibers do in response to water. Oh, a spray. Yes. Yeah, you could do a spray. You can also do an adhesive that you apply like a scrapbooking adhesive. What is that stuff? It's like there's a dispenser and it's sort of a tape. Right. It's not like Scotch tape. It's an adhesive dispenser.
Yeah, a strip of adhesive, right? Yeah. Or two-sided
or
tape.
A sheet of double-sided tape. All that kind of stuff.
I mean,
it just kind of depends on the application too.
Yeah.
She's got some tests going with Yoo-hoo plain and blue. Good, because that would be my first thing to try. Because glue stick, these magazine pages, for example, are super thin for the most part, except for that piece that Kal was talking about. And they will buckle like mad.
And they do.
If you're not careful.
And they do, for sure.
Yeah.
And part of me is like thinking about maybe stitching it, which I know is not necessarily what it can only work in certain instances, right?
Well, I also kind of want to ask if you applied it when you were using acrylic. First of all, I wouldn't use gel. I'd use fluid, ironically, because you can apply it more thinly. And I would use, again, that's be something to test. I think it still might buckle, but I think it'd be worth testing. Decoupage technique, because I've used it with success with some thin papers, which is you brush it on evenly to the substrate. You apply the paper, and you quickly combination burnish and seal it in with the fluid medium. And so it flattens it out as you brush it. And because it's stuck to the bottom, you're working wet the whole time. It tends to behave differently than if you're just doing it apart, just applying it to the back and trying to stick it on. So that would be something to try. To make it even more challenging, she's gluing onto gloss photo paper. Well, of course you would, right, Cherie? Jeez. Yeah, gloss photo paper is it's not the easiest choice to glue things onto.
She said with massive understatement.
Yeah. And I guess the thing then with decoupage technique is the photo print something that would withstand fluid medium. without damaging the image. If it's pigment-based printing, then it would be okay, but a matte paper would be better.
I think, you know, what might be a good idea is one of those frames that just sandwiches things instead of gluing it.
Instead of gluing. Yeah. I mean, you know, another possibility is glue dots. It will create a very thin separation, so it won't be quite as transparent as it would be in direct contact, but it's something to consider. It wasn't her plan. Blame the muses. Yes, that happens, doesn't it?
I know. You get
inconvenient inspirations.
Yes.
Yep. And that's plan B. Awesome. Well, you know, sometimes you got to have plan B, C, D, and E, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, Kal has turned me on to the Yoo-hoo glue stick method of collaging. But before that, I always used the decoupage style method with fluid acrylic medium rather than gel. I use gel when I'm using stiff, irregular pieces because you need the body of the gel to properly adhere something that's not flexible, not pliable. I see a youthful picture of Kal. Wow. So everybody, he's not telling you that, but that young person there in a canoe with the trees behind them is Kal at what age? 14, 15, 16?
18, I think. Well,
no, not 18.
No.
Because I remember
more
the
like
picture.
16, yeah.
Yeah.
16 or 17.
Yeah. With long, abundant hair. Look how thick it was, eh?
I remember abundant hair.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Me too. Speaking of glue dots, I actually used sturdy glue dots that are transparent way back when I was doing the acrylic house-shaped sculptures because it allowed me to fasten the bottom in a way that I could reopen them and reclose them. They worked very well for that, actually. They didn't work so well for face mounting the photographs because you could see the dots. Someday I'll go back to that project and maybe with some funding and have a company print plexi and another company fabricate, or the same company fabricate the houses with the printed plexi. So many orphaned
Oh my God.
pieces
Yep.
that well, like Kal's tending to some orphaned things that aren't working. I've got things that work well. They just don't even have physical manifestations yet. Jane says, so I saved some interesting tissue boxes, deboxed them to be flat, nice oval within design, crying out for some sort of creativity. Any ideas? It's funny, I have used tissue boxes to create image transfers, Jane, because you can get such lovely tissue boxes, and then I usually did acrylic skin photo transfers, and then of course you can cut up and collage the skins.
I know Philip has also used a good Kleenex box image from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to include this hand. So what I thought, well, because it would, to line up the face, it was going to run off the page. So I thought, oh, I'll just shorten it. But actually, now that I'm trying that, I actually just prefer it without it. So I think we'll go without it.
Right.
And I think that's the next step on that one. Don't know what the next step beyond that will be. So,
but you can respond to that later.
Exactly.
Cherie writes that she saw a great YouTube video that the artist inked the flattened box and printed it. So cool. Yes, because that oval and the flaps and so on would make an interesting shape, which reminds me of a photography series that a friend of mine has done. Oh, what does she call it? She's photographed in a really beautiful way flattened packaging, this deconstructed packaging, and it's genuinely fascinating to see the as former graphic designers, that was one of the things that could have been part of our job was we would think about ways of constructing things, and packaging designers can be very, very clever about how to create a box that does all kinds of interesting things. So anyway, the my friend's name is Peggy Taylor, Taylor -Reid, REID. If you want to check that out.
Does she have some of those on her website?
I'm sure she does, and she's on Instagram as well. So
she does some amazing imagery.
She does other kinds of work as well, but that's a very interesting conceptual series that just in a formal sense is just fascinating. But it is conceptually, it's about consumption and so on. Nellie said, I did for Halloween. I think I must have missed something. What did you do for Halloween, Nellie?
That's what happens when the comment, we lose the comment's context. So, but Halloween is a great time for creativity. So
she'll post it. Excellent. We look forward to seeing that. Oh, that's quite interesting.
Well, I used half of this.
Yeah.
I forget. Designer at one of the big fashion houses anyway.
Dior, it looks like it says.
Right. Okay. Yeah. On this one, and then I had the other half, and then I thought, okay, well, this is the next thing I'm gonna, and then I saw this shape, and I just thought that kind of. Oh,
exactly.
And so, and the negative here, so I thought, that will advance it and change it. And that
so
sort of,
just may I just
of course
lower it,
like
so there's a bit of an offset.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
I like the relationship, but I like that too, the offset.
Offset is good because you notice the similarity, but you also notice the difference.
Yeah. Just let you know that it is 3:53, so we have 7 minutes officially.
The time flies by as it usually does.
I don't think there's enough caffeine in the world for me today.
No, there isn't. I think we can just answer that.
We can just agree on that.
Yeah.
I can't drink coffee, but I would dearly love to have a big bowl of cafe au lait like I used to in the old days. And the way they serve it in Montreal, right? With the bowl in the bowl. So now I can't have either the coffee or the milk.
So this one is interesting because it had a lot going on.
Yeah.
And it didn't have any well, it had a few hints of representational imagery, but not very much. And it had maybe too much going on. So bringing in a bit of latch-ontoable, recognizable imagery, and then adding this negative, which is also...
The negative is so good,
is calming things down in an interesting way.
And clarifying at the same by editing like that.
Yeah, exactly. And those two additions, I think, are really helping this piece a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So
this whole re-collage idea could catch on, Cal.
I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. This is one of those pieces we were talking about earlier about how it can be so thin. So hopefully I can get it laid down reasonably well. I'll start with one edge and hope that I can get the other bits to lay down reasonably. Definitely got some distressing, but that might be fine.
As long as it still functions as the editing and shape. Yeah, that's really transformed.
Oh, there's a knife under this detritus somewhere. There it is.
Now, I hope before you sign off today, you're going to share with everyone the collages you made.
I will, yes. But remind me in 2 or 3 minutes, and I will. Yeah, I will do that. In fact, probably.
It's 4 minutes to 4.
Yeah,
right now.
Exactly. So, what I'm going to do.
Get that thing.
Yeah. I just
down.
realized that, I don't know about you guys, but in me, there's always there's a couple minutes left. I could probably get one more thing done. But I think discretion is the better part of valor in this case.
Why don't you do a review of what you've accomplished?
That's what I was... Accomplished is a big word, but what I have advanced or changed, let's put it that way.
As I said yesterday, art is a verb.
Yes,
today we're arting.
Yeah, exactly. Well put. So there's this one, right? And I think that is definitely an improvement, whether it's done or not, but it's certainly in a place that I like a lot better. And in fact, I'm just taking the chance to look at it on the monitor, which allows me to see it smaller. And yeah, I like that. I'm liking that what has happened to that one.
Sorry, I'm just going to interject because I missed some comments. So
right, please pass them along.
Nellie said using a tissue paper box is something she did for Halloween, I guess.
Right.
So she'll post that.
Yeah.
So great, Jane. I'm sure we'll look forward to that in case there's some ideas to be had for her. And Philippa said she once had a teenage boy who babysat for her, who regularly rearranged her living room furniture. Oh my God. I used to babysit. I never would have done that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if you became an interior designer
Maybe,
later.
Yeah. That's how did you react, Philippa?
Yeah.
Because I'd be like,
she'd probably react better than a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure you would because you're creative, but I'm not sure I would have reacted.
I wouldn't have reacted well.
I babysat a lot. I never rearranged the furniture. I occasionally tidied up for them a little bit.
Yes, exactly. And she adds that Kleenex boxes, she often uses them in her paintings. She soaks them for a few moments before she glues them down with acrylic medium, and it works well. Yeah.
Right, because it makes them more supple so that you can sort of plaster them down, right?
Yeah, that's clever.
This one is only just one little addition, but I think it's good. I think I had a painted...
You did, yeah. It was black.
And it was black, and I think the black was working, so the black of her
Mhm.
working. So I think that's
That's a
again
good
not
step.
done, but it's a good an advancement.
Yeah.
This was a piece that I remember. It was a class. I think it was my non-objective or my abstract expressionist collage class, and one of the exercises I would put up a piece, a painting,
Right.
and it was a Motherwell piece. And so I tried to do it in collage, and
Right.
it was like 10 minutes or something like that. So I've introduced some imagery into that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's done, but
Jane says you're flying today, Cal. And Ricky adds to this one, I think. That one is my favorite.
Ooh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had these pieces from something else that I cut out, and I noticed this was serendipitous, this alignment of the hand. And I just thought, I'll use that. And it's the same face, but it's with a gap and with that sort of star sort of feels like it stands in for an eye.
I like that star.
I like that. It's working well. Our mask woman, I don't know. It's definitely a changed thing. I want to do something else to it, but it's definitely a different problem now, which is
good. You cut out the I actually really liked it. I didn't notice
just leaving the negative.
No, I liked the
little blue
what
thing?
you laid it down on.
Oh,
to replace the shadow. I just didn't expect you to cut in and redefine the shape of the mask and the shoulder. I actually liked it
without that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that can
you still have that negative probably.
Yeah, and I could also
Anyway, that's just comment from the peanut gallery here.
And then this one is now, it feels more like again, I'm looking at it on the monitor, which is helpful. It feels like it's got more narrative now between the big figure and the smaller figures. Still more to come, I think.
Yeah.
But I think I want to interfere with this painting a bit more, and I want to interfere with her face, but it kind of feels, because it's sort of snippets of two images and then the patterns, it kind of feels like a bit sort of memory-like. So I think I can see maybe superimposing something else that crisscrosses it as well. So
cool.
And I think right. So this one was the first one I did.
Yeah.
Which didn't have any imagery in it, and now it does. And then this one, which I just put in a little bit of a jacket. I had another piece of a jacket, but I decided that I liked having these two sets of arms. And when I put the other half of the jacket on, it obscured it. So I only put that side on, so still needs more. So
cool.
All right. So Kim would like me to show you this before we leave the overhead camera. So these were some pieces that I did. Oh, one's got a little damage, but that's just the nature of it. I found a dragon that I liked and created it. Basically, I found it online and used it as cutting through some colored papers, and then drew on with some black some of the interior detail.
Can you hold that one up closer?
Yes.
So that people can see that it's made up of many different kinds of paper.
And I originally I created sort of a place for it, which was on this piece, which has like these pieces up here relate to wood in that they are sort of fibrous, and they have sort of woodland type images. These have something to do with like ground. This has something to do with water and metal. And then I was going to superimpose the red dragon on top, but when I did, it kind of was lost value-wise. This one is sometimes, depending on the angle, because of the metallic. Sometimes the metallic is quite bright, like it is there, and sometimes it's dark, like it is there. So I decided I'd make a second context for this one out of, like, I cut this piece. These are the cutoffs of this
from that circle.
From the circle. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And so those were the two collages I did for Kim. And then this was this is a copy of one. Before I decided to glue this down, I tried it on as just sort of like a ghost dragon, the flip side of this one. And so I scanned it to see what that looked like, but I decided to go with the, and this was just a black and white photocopy that I then embellished with a little bit of red marker, which, because it's going over top of gray, it's sort of a brownish red, but so it's a subtler thing, but I think that's all right. So that was fun, because that's imagery and paper that I don't normally work with. So that was kind of fun.
Stretch.
Yeah. So I'll just switch the camera down.
Yeah.
And say goodbye.
I'll stay off camera because I look like I've had a rough night of it, or a big night out, as they say.
So I look forward to seeing on our virtual collage jam page what you guys come up with, what you recollaged. I'll take
or decollage,
or whatever, however you reworked whatever you reworked.
Or if there's an awesome little part of your studio that you organized, Jane,
that's
please
right.
share a snap of that.
Yeah, I think artists always love to see what other artists do in their studio.
Organization.
Yeah, exactly.
Is gold.
We all dream of that, of having an organized studio. Some of us even live that dream. I certainly don't. If any of you remember Zooming with me, it's about 10% organization and 90% pandemonium.
Yes. The school of pandemonium is what we could call this.
Yes. So, again, we still have a few spots in Saturday's in-person event at the Gladstone House. So feel free to hit up my website, calhoney.ca, under the teaching tab, under in-person offerings. You'll find that.
It's a very artistically inspiring location, which is why we love to go there.
And Kim and I will be having lunch beforehand.
Yeah,
there
in the bistro.
Let's see, we start at 1, so we'll probably arrive, I would imagine, we'll arrive a little before this, but we'll probably arrive in the bistro, I would imagine, around 11:45.
Probably.
Yeah, so if you want to join us, feel free.
Yeah.
Look forward
drop
to it.
us
drop me an email.
Yeah, to let us know.
And and we'll have a nice little lunch beforehand. So
yeah. So that'll be great.
Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. Our next one is going to be Saturday, because we're going to stream from the Gladstone Hotel as well.
Yeah.
But then after that, because of
and is it special hours? Like you're doing a longer one, right?
Yes, we're going a bit longer than usual. It's going to be a 2-hour stream and a 3-hour session. So we're going to, in person will be from 1 till 4, and live streaming 1:30 to 3:30. So yes. So
so it starts an hour earlier.
Yeah,
on Saturday.
Yeah.
If you're joining the live
if you're
stream.
joining us for the live stream, exactly. Yeah. Good thing Kim is here.
Some part of my brain is working, apparently.
It's good, because I'm not sure mine was. So together we make almost a complete human.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
Guys.
And we look forward to seeing whoever can join us either way, virtually or in person.
If you can't join us in person, join us online and
tell your friends. The more the merrier.
Yeah.
As I was telling Judy yesterday, it is not necessary if you're Zooming. It's not necessary, or if you're online rather. It's not necessary to be collaging even. Do or don't do whatever you like. But join us. And anyone else who you think might be interested, please encourage them to join you as well.
Exactly. We can have artistic conversation. Kim's my
niece Jessica
is going to be manning the chat for us, so that
bless her.
We're gonna have 3 virtual collage jam staffers, which will be great. So
she's an artist and designer, which is it's still astonishing to me. She followed in our footsteps in a way.
Yep. Makes us proud.
It does make us proud. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So
All
See
right.
you Saturday, and then the next one I think is late May because of Victoria Day. So
Victoria Day
yeah,
weekend.
So,
Yeah.
So we'll see you
Okay.
Saturday or at the end of May. All right. Take
Take
care,
care,
guys.
everybody.
Thanks for joining us and keep on collaging.